Good morning, everybody. Hope you're having a great Friday morning so far. We've got about 14 minutes till the market opens, and we'll start with the indexes. You're going to see SPY closer to, still being green on the month, still inside month up, still 2-2 week up. And we're coming in on Friday now. So the question is, do we see this weekly buyer, come back and buy to close out the month above 77182? And if we're above that, we'd have magnitude to try and come up here with the 2 up, 2 down, 2 up on SPY. If we go to the Qs, similar, you'll see the 2 up, 2 down, 2 up on Qs above 719.32 with a magnitude to 728.54, which would be a lot closer to taking last month's highs out, right? IWM, you'll see is opening inside day, so how are we going to not be an inside bar would be the question. And you will see, it could be a kicking variation. All these guys short until the close, and they gap it up. If we go to Dow Jones, you'll see nowhere near reverse in that. So Dow Jones still much weaker off that shooter actionable signal here. So when we go in, one thing we see today is gold. And, stuff I've said on gold last month prior, all of that stuff's starting to kick in. So this is something we want to know about. We got the monthly reversal gold, and that matters because that lasts all month, 24 days. And you'll see it's gapping up overnight because it's a monthly reversal. That's true overnight. It's also true over the weekend. And that's the evidence you need to swing, right? If we go to silver, you'll see same thing, monthly reversal, and overnight that's true if we're above that. And when we look up and left on the weekly, all right, $110 from 57. That's something we would want to know about. It tells you things like the gold miners, GDX, which you can see they're up 15% this week. They're also gapping up today. But the 2-2 month, and we mentioned all this, and we said this on our live streams at Premium. We were like, if you are an investor and you're trying to find a place to put your money that's safer, gold is the place to do it. And when we took last month's highs back on, it was like 3 days ago here. Let's take a look. Right here. So we saw gold, silver, GDX, JNUG all simultaneous break month on a gap up this morning. This was posted 10 minutes after the open. So when that happened, a simultaneous monthly break is what? Simultaneous buy. It's a buy. It's not a sell. Therefore, if you're a monthly guy, you're getting exactly what you wanted. And this is stuff we discussed there. So that's good stuff. And we'll be monitoring those all day. Now with the gold, on the side of that, we still have 10 minutes, so we got time. We still have yet to see, cryptos firming back up, but I do believe we're going to see gold and crypto going together. And that's just my personal opinion. So, for now, not too much to talk about there. But if we go to Bitcoin, everyone finally sold their Bitcoin last month. They're like, now's the time to do it. It's like, nope, you should have done it 12 months ago up at the highs. Now is the reclaim, trying to go back through that previous range, take out 82, and potentially all the way back up there. So, Bitcoin, that's something you want to be aware of. That's coming back, and still not an outside week, which is what they're trying to do this week. But you can see they're rallying them, ripping them overnight. So Bitcoin is coming back. And we could look at some of the other projects and whatnot. Looks like XLM is not. For now, XRP still down on the month. No monthly reversals there yet. Solana was reclaiming last month's low, so maybe outside month in there this month, but probably not until next week. You'll see they're very much inside bar, stuck in the middle of this stuff. But crypto is also something to be watchful for, and that would tell you things like MicroStrategy and whatnot. At these big consolidations here, inside month last month, maybe they can recover it. Right? We'll see. Now, as far as daily setups are concerned today. Yeah, kicker. All right, we'll take a look at them. Kickish. That's funny. As far as daily setups are concerned, last night we had some inside days in the Meg 7, so you're going to see Amazon 3-1. So either side of this inside bar would get your attention. You can see it's 2 up month, 2 up week. So you'd prefer to go back in the direction of that, staying at 2, or you might get inside down, which, you know, we're probably not going outside week or outside month today. So maybe they take this stuff out. We'll see. Yeah, I'll take a look at what you're looking at, Sarah, next. Google, you're going to see top of its monthly broadening information in here, like this. And I'll let it draw that. That's fine. But top of the broadening information here, the weekly, and technically that monthly one. So inside day, below that, 355.83, you'd be coming back through all these guys, reclaiming, and you can see that nice, beautiful daily triangle, right? Up, down, up, down, up, down, up, and then maybe down again. We'll see. CVS is gapping its trigger, but you'll have CVS, which you can see is the 2-2 month down. Bright red 2 down week, and then the potential 2-2 on the day below this stuff at 96.10, and sadly it's gapping just slightly below it, but that's still a reversal. If we go to UNH, these are also healthcare. You'll see UNH 3, then 2 up in red with the 2-2 month down. So you got monthly signals here with the daily signal in the direction of that month. So you got the magnitude to come back through these guys, and that's something we look for as the simultaneous break there. And we'll see an XLV. Maybe they kick that in too today. So you got the sector going. And similar to a couple Fridays ago, we have MasterCard Visa, but they are opening well inside here. So unless we get the gap down buy this morning, MasterCard's inside day, Doji week. Visa is going to open inside week, inside month, inside day. So we're going to hold off on that. And then this morning, this is a lotto candidate, probably not going to be the most liquid name, but it really likes to explode. You'll see the Hammer 60 in CBRS, Cerebras, and it's going to be closer to the 2-2 day at 219. Retriggers that inside week up. So you'd have the weekly, the daily reversal, and the 60 reversal all at the open, kicking in force potentially, which might give you all this, right? It could be 16 points if we come back through this whole PMG. So that's something worth knowing if you're willing to risk the spread, but it's going to be a little bit more difficult there. And now we'll take a quick peek at some of those gappers. INOD, not a kicker, no. I mean, you could say these guys are all short, intraday here, and it's gapping up. But a kicker is a long red bar or long green bar, and then going back through a pivot machine gun ideally. So maybe you could take this out, 77.57, but meh. Let's see CoreWeave. CoreWeave, you had that nice weekly pivot machine gun action in here. And you might have that RevStrat day, 89.23 gapping up. Back through these guys. So yeah, maybe CoreWeave can kick them through there. You got full time for continuity back through range. It's like a lot of the data centers were shooter yesterday and are doing similar to that. Tesla, it's getting a little tight in there. So just be careful. You're not going to get that monthly going. So it's like, if you buy this, are you going to be able to hold that? Probably not, right? It's probably going to end up coming back in on you pretty soon. All right, ONDS from Andre. Let's see. We got 3, 2 down, 2 up month. Nice. And you got your daily 3, so triangle they out. Now that they've been triangled they out, you can see it's gapping this morning. It goes 2-2-60 to take this stuff out. Still has that weekly signal, still has a monthly signal. So you'd have 60 week and month signal at the open. Yeah. Take a look at community stage. I saw Mr. Failed 2 Rev is in here this morning. Oh no, dude, he headed out. Palantir for upside. Let's take a quick peek. Yeah, Sarah's list had this too. You had the potential 2-2-2. So, with the Qs and the chips and whatnot, as a valid option. You got the inside 3-1-2 reversal month, which you can see hit its magnitude from earnings. Then you have that 2-2 day to try and take them up in here and confirm that. All right, got about 3 minutes, and the gist would be, for those that are just tuning in now, you've got the potential 2-2-2 days, Qs and SPY. So if you look in here, SPY, right, above yesterday's highs, 2-2-2. And this is what we call triangle layout. Stop them out down here. Then reclaim that, go 2-2 reversal, back in the direction of the higher time frames, right? And that can give you things like Palantir, yeah. Can also give you things like potentially that whole semi sector, right? 2-2-2. So if you look at, you pretty much pull up any semi, they're going to look very similar. For some reason, they won't even load in. Weird. Right, there we go. Yeah, but you'll see semis SMH, right? And we go see if they load them in. There it is. Marvell, right? It's going to be closer to the 2-2. SNDK, MU, right? Etc. So on and so forth. Oh, for some reason, these dailies are just struggling to load this morning. Odd. All right. Gold up 10 is going to be fun. Man, I hope you guys bought gold. Because you're going to be able to hold that one for a long time. A long time. You did? Good. And look at the dollar, right? The thing is like gold is up so much, the dollar hasn't even budged yet. If the dollar goes all the way through here and drops 5% this month, gold could be, gold could be up twice as much as it is now, real fast. All right, here is the morning open. SPY opens inside day closer to the 2s up. Qs opens 2-2 reversal day. Financials continued down again this morning. They were selling them yesterday. They're still selling them today. Energies go inside down. XLE, XOP, a simultaneous break. So there's some weakness in the energies, weakness in the financials to start off the day. Amazon is double inside day to start off, so you want to see if you can trigger that. you'll see Google takes out the daily targets and then reclaims potential 3. So to start off the day, they're conflicted in Google. Yeah, CBRS, you can see gap the whole pivot machine gun, not what we were looking for. Gold, you can see finally reclaiming on the GLD chart. On GOLD, the spot price, they've already reclaimed all this stuff. So different levels on different charts, but they are doing it. JNUG reclaimed all that in the month. So you can see monthly reclaim level. Anytime you're above 149, you're going to 363. That's a pretty good shares investment, right? And I got my girlfriend invested in all that a good couple months ago. So that is good stuff for shares. SPY still getting closer to that 2-2 day up above 771.82. Qs is in force above yesterday's highs with the magnitude come back through these guys. Dow Jones is still closer to continuing down with the financials reclaiming last month's highs now. So Goldman Sachs closer to continuing, setting up the inside week. JP Morgan, they are continuing pivot machine gun style. Going back through all these guys. So having problems in the financial sector. I wonder if that has anything to do with all the debt stuff that we're seeing with the AI trade everyone's talking about recently. But you'll see 3-2 day JP Morgan coming back through previous range of all these guys. That's pretty brutal if that's kicking in today below 354.95. Utilities are still being sold off as well. Staples are being sold off today as well. So they're rotating into tech, out of financials, staples, utilities, all the boring stuff to start off the morning, but it's got to stay that way because they're selling off a lot of things. So you want to see that tech really go. Because if they stop rotating and then they start just buying gold and selling everything, including tech, then you got bigger issues, right? Amazon 312 daily reversal to the upside did break. So if it's above 275.48 today, it does have a magnitude to 282.79. The technology sector and the semi sector already have hit their daily magnitude. So short-term exhaustion risk at the top of the triangles in here. And you can see if we draw right to left, it looks like this. So they've got to stay up there, else, they're more than likely to triangle they out in the short term. You'll see if we go to XLK, it's going to be the same. The slight higher highs in here, then starting to triangle they out just a little bit. Like Palantir is also kicking in with the Qs and the SPY and the TAC and semis, so they look very similar with those 222s. So it's definitely interesting. We can see to start off the day, financials, Utes, Dow Jones, energies, right? Airlines, materials, healthcares, staples. You got a ton of twos to the downside. Now, tech and semis and hack ETF, we have all those twos up, solars, uraniums. So they're buying gold, they're buying silver, buying gold miners, and they're buying tech and semis, and they're selling off the rest, is kind of the gist this morning as the rotation. Selling off data center plays. Riots is a little bit closer to taking them down. You'll see CLSK shortly. Is gap up and sell today. So it's your Bitcoin miner / data center plays that they're selling off. So it's really interesting, right? It's rotation to specific tech names and then out of almost everything else. Unless that changes. Hughes is still holding the daily open this morning, so they're still yesterday's highs. They're still above their daily open. They had some slight profit taking, then 2-2 reversals back up. Gold this morning is still green on the day, still green on the month and week. So they're buying every gap up in gold, which is pretty wild. You'll see silver as well. The 2-2 month simultaneous break with gold now. They're nowhere near coming back below those monthly breaks. So that's really good stuff. And, you can day trade gold and silver during the day. That's great. But long term, you want to know about those guys long term for sure as well. Start off the morning, CVS is closer to what mother bar problems on the fiver, so looking for that to set up. You might have inside 5 down, but you have that issue of getting stuck in the middle. UNH goes inside 5 at the high of day. You see SPY start off the day, still inside day, still double inside fiver. So maybe you get the fivers to cause the day to break, such as like 212 up above 771.53. That 5-minute group would cause the daily group. Hughes is also double inside fiver to start the day off after gapping up. You see semis and tech are going to look pretty similar. Energies are all at the lows, full time frame continuity down. So they're having some issues in the energies to start the day off. They are into shorter term exhaustion risk. Financials you can see are going inside 5 reversal, so that's going to be 2-2-10ers. That firms the financials up a little bit. That should help out the Dow Jones to stabilize. That's good. Also should help out the SPY since there's a good chunk of financials in the SPY as well. You got some profit takers, Amazon, that might set up some new additional signals intraday. They go 2-2-5ers down. Qs is still right at the morning lows, right at the daily open. IWM is getting a little closer to breaking the 2-up day, which would help firm them up with the Qs and the IWM firming up together, and then the SPY potentially following suit. The Qs still holding that daily open, holding that daily reversal. Would love to see them go up into here at 728.48. The simultaneous breaks we see are in technologies. I can show you here. So these are all the daily signals in force. Full time from continuity up, you can see it's all technology sector. So it's just across the board tech. Now, while the Qs goes up, Google is inside day down. So this is where we see natural selling as far as we're concerned. You got full time frame continuity down Google, full time frame continuity up QQQ. So that's an issue. If we're below this daily open, 355.28 today, Google's got problems. And that's problems because if Qs is discernibly going up across all 4 time frames and Google is discernibly going down across all 4 and below that daily open, that shows you some type of institutional, selling or positioning, you could say. But it has to stay that way. Now, they could easily change back to green, but if it's below that daily open, they stay down there, that is problems. Hughes does make a new high a day, so it's slight corrective activity, and they make that higher high. That's good. Now, can it stay up there? Are they going to have to triangle they out? You can see for now they make slight higher highs and reclaim. And what we're looking for to get this to really go is we can see this really tiny triangle here. We want to get outside of that. So either we get something like this, triangle they out, back up, or we can get, maybe slight higher lows in here to take them back up and get outside of that. QCOM, yeah, it's 2 day, 2 going 3 week, yep. MU and SNDK, yeah, interestingly, you can see they're not really going after those at all today. They're selling them. But there are inside days, so that could be easier to recover. But they definitely are weak in those memory guys. DRAM ETF, so you can see Round Hill Memory, bright red. In the semis, you know, they are still top of this triangle, so we're aware of that. Maybe we do see them weaken up. We'll have to see. You can see Qs, they test the daily open again, so they're still trying to hold above yesterday's highs, but the broadening formation would be them taking all these guys out first. So we'll see if they're strong enough to hold that, but for now, Qs is doji on the day. L and Q come. Marvell is not ripping. They are still slightly red. So for now, we can see Qs is 2's up. SPY did become a 2 up. IWM is inside, then Dow is 2 down. So you can see it's kind of conflicted, but Qs and SPY are confirming each other to the upside today. So we prefer to see those actually hit their targets, right? 728.71. So far, we're kind of just sitting at the daily open, though. So the question would be, do we get any new additional signals to cause that to speed up and make that happen? Like, can we go, you know, 2 up in red 15 and then maybe another 2 up, or maybe 2 up, 2 down, 2 up, stopping these guys out first and then going. For now, they're holding the daily open. So daily guys, as long as the daily's green, you get to stick around. We're still waiting on that. Energies are coming into their targets now. XLE. XOP is still at the lows as well. May only type in the YouTube chat today. That's okay. The problem with a gap is when you take a gap, or when a gap happens, everyone, you know, it already happened. And what I mean by that is, like, what we want to see is break a level to take the next level, to take the next, to take the next. If you gap into a level, now you're at the top of a broadening formation and everyone already bought overnight. So you can think of it, it already hit its target. This was the target today on semis, was to take that out. Now, if it's red, the target's to go all the way back to the other side of this. And we know that happens. So just want to be aware of it. See, somehow Q's still defending that daily open, which is that week, month, day group. Still holding strong. Palantir, after the slight corrective activity in here, just about to take out its magnitude at 166.08. Sorry, I think my mute actually accidentally hit, but Palantir just about to take its magnitude at 668.08. 166.08. Sorry about that. But you can see slight corrective activity, and up and away they are. Normally it's going to be the 60 chart, but since we're at the open, we're using that 5 minutes to take a look there. But you can see SPY re-triggering that day. So they're still here, 2-2 day. You got the Qs, still 2-2 day. You still have that tech simultaneous break, pretty much across the board up in here at the top of the list this morning. And if we look at the high volume names, you can see Intel, Palantir, Amazon, Microsoft, Oracle, CMCSA, AMD, Marvell. So you got a lot of guys we know about with the SPY and the Qs, the Tesla. Also got SpaceX in there this morning. We'll take a peek. Yep, SpaceX, nice 2-2 day in there. But what that shows you is simultaneous breaks. So we have no reason to believe, this stuff isn't going up today. It's just slowed in the indexes to start off the morning. PLTR hit its target, nice. And that takes out all the nearby guys. So short-term exhaustion risk at the PLTR target. See, Amazon had that slight fiber corrective activity, and they're still at the highs here as well. Want them to stay up there. Google sitting right at the daily open. So far, you'll see they go slight twos up on the fiber. We'll see if they set up anything new back down. Could be some problems for them. That means go RevStrat down fibers with technologies, slight RevStrat fibers down. So the tech and semi sector ETFs are just a little bit weaker. Starting to come back through these guys. Take out the morning lows. You'll see XLK takes out the morning lows, and that's 5 minutes before the new 30s. It goes 2-2-15. So we know that broadening formation technically, right? Make that slight higher high, and then they come back in. Now, we're nowhere near filling this gap yet. So it could be just slight triangle down if they're going to reclaim that and start coming back through it. But that changes the day to red. So as we get to the new 30s, is it closer to doing anything? It'd be closer to 2-2-30s now. So as we come into the flip of the second 30s of the day, tech is closer to a gap up sell. You get a semis. They reclaim yesterday's highs. So you can see tech and semis, they take them out here, bam, and that's going to be the 15ers down, creating the potential 30s. So you go to Marvell, they're starting to come back in, right? And if we go to DRAM, that memory ETF, they're still at the lows. So they're still pretty red in there, and they're closer to causing full time frame continuity down, which would cause issues because anyone that bought this month would go into a losing position in DRAM. And that's your SNDK, your MU. Things like APLD are closer to going momentum shooter day down. You know, CLSK, bam, there's your outside day, and it has full time frame continuity, so below 1251 in the data centers, that's having some issues. So we can see it's that AI trade, mostly, you know, all these crazy circular finance ones. Whereas Amazon's still holding yesterday's highs, so they're still firmer. And Google, that could still be, you know, bigger issues with the full time frame continuity down back through all this stuff. You see semis, they break them all out and they go right away. So we got a minute here for the new 30s to open up. We'll be closer to 2230s semis. And we'll be closer to 2230s on XLK. Utilities and staples are all closer to firming up, which is a defensive posturing. Financials are also closer to going 30s and reversing, firming those up, which is a defensive posturing. Path, yeah, that one's pretty nuts. Nice and green in there. Inside month up. The week's going, the 2-2 day up. Just trying to go back to 19. It's at 15. All right, got 1 minute. We're going to have the second 30s of the day opening up. IREN goes 3-2-30s down, closer to momentum shooter down to cause full time frame continuity in the data center plays. Hughes starts as a 1, going inside 30. SPY starts as a 1. Financials go hammer 30 reversal 2-2, and that's above the month and week opens and the day 60 opens. So that's XLF 2-2 with full time frame continuity if they're above 57.63. Now we don't see JP Morgan or Goldman Sachs really doing that at this point. Wells Fargo's a little bit closer to it. With the spine cues inside, the question would be, how are we not going to be inside on those spine cues? Because we want to get a simultaneous 2 across the board. CLSK, they're still hitting the lows with IREN, with Mara still hitting the lows, all the data centers. APLD is closer to taking that momentum shooter day down to cause full time frame continuity in the data centers. You can see the daily broadening formation in here. It'd be below that 28.17. You got, coming back through this previous range to 23. Not sure who in the XLF sector is doing that, because there's most of the big banks we don't really see taking out the morning highs. Now we do see utilities. You can see 30s up coming after the outside day, so that's going to be coming back through a broadening formation. We also see staples outside day yesterday and then 2230 up. So they're rotating or attempting to rotate into the staples and utilities. Gold, we're getting some of that corrective activity, which is what we'd like to see if we're really going to get moving today. Let them go down first, but they go 30s down on silver and gold on the gap up, so a little bit of profit taken. So Qs, semis, tech, all simultaneous 2230s down. That is a simultaneous break reversal if those all can start kicking in on the 30s, which would give you that gap up sell tech, gap up sell Qs. So SMH, you got the outside day magnitude. You can see that simultaneous 2230. It gives you 571 as a target. It also gives you 559.60 as a target. Tech, semis, Qs, all simultaneous break short. And that matters because on the second 30 of the day, when you get that 2-2 reversal, that's what causes outside bars to happen. So if they're going to go an outside day, it would look like that first. And while they do that, they go after utilities, staples, and some healthcare. So it's a rotation. It's not really, market crash. They're still going after real estates too. So they're firming up some of the weaker names and they're selling off some of the tech semis on the gap. Now, when we look at those bigger time frames, what we'll notice is although, they are gap up and sell, taking their profit coming back through here, tech is still bright green month, still a bright green week. So anyone that bought this week, we're probably not taking them out today. Anyone that bought this month, we're probably not taking them out today. At best, maybe they would take out some of these guys and stop them out. But what we prefer, since the week and the month are bigger groups, We prefer to go back in the direction of that just because there's more evidence there. Since we have this gap this morning, it's just going to be a little bit trickier to disseminate it. But you can see TAC and SMH, they look similar. Bright green month, bright green week, but red on the day. And what this means is each 30, each 60 is going to matter more today. Because either we're going to have either this 2230 is trying to cause that outside day, or it goes 22 down, simultaneously breaks, and then 22 up, simultaneous break, and then it tries to change the day with the week and month guys. And this also can help us pick out relative strength. So if we look at QCOM, for example, it's not taking out the morning lows. That's got to be stronger. NVIDIA, they're not taking them out either, so that's got to be stronger as well. Cuervo's got to be stronger. SWKS has to be stronger as well. Palantir is still above its daily magnitude, so you can see they're staying up there on the 222. For now, if you look at SPY, we can see triangle day out, so they stop them out down in here. But they didn't really go anywhere. They're coming back a little bit. So the question is, since we have this 2-up day, right, if we're below that daily open, this is a 2 attempting to go 3. If they can reclaim that, get back above it, then you'd have that 2-up day and you'd have the magnitude to try and go and take that out. 777, give or take. For now, those data centers, IREN still pretty weak at the lows. 3-2 down. Mara is still at the lows. CLSK is 3-2 down, 30s at the lows still. So they're still selling a ton of data centers, and those are not having a good time. Semis still 30s down with tech. You got 20 minutes left on those simultaneous 30s. Semis on the simultaneous 30s, still coming back through, making a new low a day. 571.23 is that first magnitude on the 2-2 reversal. You see TAC on the simultaneous 30s as well, coming back in, making new lows. And you see how those 5ers kicked in through here and instantly start puking. And then the 30s kicked in, and those are following suit. IREN on the 3-2-30s, they're still trying to take yesterday's lows. And it does look like Bitcoin stuff, is also getting hit a little bit. We got our alerts going off in there. But you can see TAC, kind of like we were saying before, when you gap into a level, you go right into the top of the broadening formation, which is why it's trickier to try and buy the gap up than it is for it to go down first. And we still got 16 minutes on the 30s, so we'll see when we look at XLK, are they weak enough to actually take out these guys down in here? Or do they try and make some higher lows to bring them back up? We'd prefer to take them out, at least slight lower lows to this. You can see while they sell off some of those semis in tech, they rotate into staples with their money. They go 230s XLP. And those are closing on their targets too. And same with the utilities. Very, briefly, slightly rotating into there. Still not much to really talk about. Like DRAM was weak enough to take them out at yesterday's lows. And you can see now it's right at that monthly, weekly open. So anyone that was long this month, this week, the memory ETF, that becomes an issue for them. So if we go to SNDK, right, still has this stuff to take out, which would change that month and week. If we go to MU, still a good bit stronger at MU, but bright red on the day. So they're still having issues in the memory guys. You can see while they're doing that, Palantir is still at the highs. Google is still, inside 30, so doing nothing for now. Amazon, they're still green on the day, the red on the week, red on the month, so it's a little bit conflicted here. We'll see if they set up that inside 30 to do something. Semis is just a few pennies away from taking out its magnitude. And we can still, so we got about 14 minutes left. Let's take a look. So if you look at the semis, you can see 2's down semis, NVIDIA inside, QCOM, Microchip, ADI, SWKS. So if semis was really going to puke, you'd want to see all these inside bars kick down on the next 30s. And if they're going to recover, if they go 2 up, 2 down, 2 up, back in the direction of the most 2s on the day, which most semis are a 2 up, most tech is a 2 up today, from what I can see, then what you would see is 2, 2, 2. These inside bars would be the first things to break, more than likely. So once we go into the second 60s of the day, we'll gain more evidence. We'll see, do they reverse the semis with all these guys going and kicking inside up, or do those semis reconfirm the downside? If you go to XLK Tech, you'll see 2 down Tech, but Apple goes inside, Microsoft goes inside, and then some, lesser traded ones. But while they sell the Tech, Apple, Microsoft, they don't. See, Tesla, they didn't sell either. They go inside. PLTR, another new high day. So you can see that level, or that daily level, they're still above it. Good. Tell them to get. If you look at the NASDAQ futures, you can see there's still 2 up green day, still 2-2 reversal week, and 2-2 reversal day. And then they had the triangle day out. So if you look at the 5-minute, they go up, triangle day out, boom, everyone gets stopped out. And then 2-2 5-minute reversal, they're going back into this range, reclaiming all this stuff on the left. So that's trying to set up those 30s that we see, potentially countering back up on the flip. So you can see Q's re-breaks yesterday's highs, but it's creating that potential hammer 30. And if we look, the month is still bright green, the week is still bright green, the day is still a 2 up, week is still a 2 up. So if that were to go to 230 in the direction of those bigger groups, that's what we would prefer to see, just because those bigger groups tend to be stronger. LC Tech, they did hit the bid and take them down in here, but the second that starts reclaiming, now it's similar to the Qs, right? 2 up month, 2 up week, 2 up day. It's trying to set up that hammer 30. So you got about 10 minutes to get to the flip here, and that'll be your second 60 of the day. Amazon did have some triangle day out, so slight lower lows on the fivers, and they start reclaiming this here at 275.68. So it might set up some inside 30s, inside 15s in Amazon. Google will be setting up the inside 30s potentially down here with the 3-130 and the 3-1-2 down day. So, if tech and stuff starts recovering, like we said before, if Google's below all this, that could be some issues for Google because it shows you some of that natural selling. If we look at SPY, just like Qs, you can see they did take them down, but then they reclaim all of that stuff, which takes anyone in here, puts them at a losing position. And now that day is green, that week is still green, that month is still green, and they're all 2s up. So you still would much prefer that, 776.85 today. that can kick in. Palantir, they got that big quarterly target. Next up, it'd be 187. They got some distance to do it, but they're already up 6% this morning. They might be going further than that today. We'll have that second 60 opening up about 7 minutes to confirm that or negate that. We got about 6 minutes, and for now, semis and chips, they've formed some hammers. Then Tech is negating its 30, so they went twos down, but then they hammer it back. So you got 5 minutes, and we'd like them to close that way. If they don't, we wouldn't be closer to getting those 2-2 reversals. PBRS, yeah, you have big outside 60 hammer, and you have this big inside 30. That's something that's interesting for sure. You got 4 minutes to set that up. You know, the 30 to cause the 60 back through all these guys with full time from continuity. Good mention. Spy completely goes outside bar, so they went down, reclaim 3. Then Q semis tack, they're still forming those hammers. See Cuervo stronger, goes or almost goes 2 up. It's like a penny away from doing it. Kinross Gold Corporation. Are they a gold miner or what are they? It looks like a gold miner. Good stuff. Just like GDX, right? Let's see. AU's up 13%, so maybe it's a little bit of a better company. So we look at the Qs, right? We're above the month, week, day, 60 in daily opens, all of them together. SPY, you can see they fully take them out. So triangle down, reversal, triangle back up in the direction of the day, the week, and month. Every 2 is to the upside right now, SPY. So the magnitude above yesterday's highs, like we talked about pre-market, is still 77685. Now the only question is, like, how many 2s up are we going to get on this next flip? If we take a look at the 60s, currently we got 700 2s up on the 60s. We got 276 2s down. Today, 2 up, we got 650. 2 down, we have 466. So, the trend is discernibly up on the daily 60 basis. And then on the 30s, we had 500 downtrends, but about 130 of those are setting up for 2-2 reversals. So if we look in this, you see Qs would be a 2230 with full time firm continuity, AMAT, Western Digi, Cardo. I imagine a lot of these are starting to go 3 already. Now IWM is pounding the highs too after the same thing, the slight lower low and then the reclaim. So IWM would be the 2-2 above 301.38, and then you'd have every 2 and 2 going 3 to the upside today. Because Dow Jones did become 2 down, but then it recovered above that daily open, firming it up. All right, we have 15 seconds. So here's the flip. Right away, SPY does go 2 up. Now we got to be aware we got these outside 30s. So this is an outside bar, which is a broadening formation. So you can see 2 up and then it comes back in. That means if you're playing it to go 3, you'd want to defend against that. But we do have the daily level of defense at 771.82. So we want to be above 771.82 today. Qs, we'd have to be above this. 721.65 to go 2-2 reversal. For now, they don't. Semis, right? They'd have to get above that for a 2-2 reversal. For now, they haven't. Tech, same thing. For now, you can see they go inside. So technically, the trend is down, and then they go inside in red right on the new 60 open. So you'll see we are definitely inside bar, but since we had those 30s, you can think of it as a broadening formation. It goes down, then it goes up, and then it goes inside, but it's coming back in a little bit. So what we'd want to see is still, since we're inside 30, dead center of the 60, we'd want to see that 30 reversal. We'd prefer to see it. The tech and semis, they all go inside. SPY is still reclaiming that 30 outside bar broadening formation. You can see the flip. The first 60 ended up green. The second 60 flips and causes profit taking. And hopefully it's just profit taking since we're still not anywhere near low day on the SPY. PLTR goes 2 up again, so that buyer that's in Palantir on the 222 this morning, they're still there. Still getting more. Thing that's not helping the Qs out today is MU, right? Still inside day, still inside week, still inside month, and then it's bright red down in here. So if that's able to firm up, that would definitely help out getting the Qs and the tech stuff actually moving here. We get a SNDK similarly, right? Just bright red. So it's like they're not going after any of the DRAM stuff today, that's for sure. At least not yet. For now on the flip, we can see nothing's really changed. The SPYs 60s, 30s, they're 2 up, they're red, and they're coming back in on the flip. Qs inside and red on the flip. And technically those 230s down in the tech and semis did not reverse. So it goes 2 up, 2 down, 1 in red. This is not reversal up. This is still technically, continuing down or retracing whoever bought off these lows. So still having some issues there, and we go to SMH, right? Semis never reverse, so simultaneous 30s down is still true. We go to tech, never reverse, so simultaneous 30s down is still true. So whoever that seller was on tech on that second 30 of the day, although there was a buyer in here, didn't change anything. That seller's still present, which does make it trickier just because we're going inside of this stuff. So it's like, you see if we look at Qs, it's like we're dead in the middle. So what are we going to do about that? The utilities, will see that rotation off the hammer 30 here, still true. So utilities are following through. Back into this outside day here for your broadening formation. We go to staples. That rotation there is also still true. We're still kind of holding out, until we can get a 2. Nothing confirms or negates. Like IWM was not strong enough to take yesterday's highs out. So you're going to see this little triangle in here, this outside 30 is now what they're dealing with over there in the IWM land. Hughes is starting to hammer the 5er, so maybe that RevStrat 5er would be strong enough to take that 30 out and actually cause something to change here for us. That'd be good. Got about a minute for that to set up. Palantir 225er, yeah, so some profit taken. So you'd say this is exhaustion risk up into the highs and then exhaustion on the 60s. When that's going red, profit taken. So we'll say is semis intact, right? They never went 30s back up to give control back to those buyers. So the seller's still in here, although it's inside. So there's nothing we can really do. We're just waiting to see if they confirm or negate by taking out the lows here, which would confirm with those 60s down, or by taking out the 30 highs, which would negate by going reversal. Hughes is right back at yesterday's highs, so they're still trying to defend that, which is confirming that week. Yesterday's highs, what, 719.32. See, SPY's reclaiming the previous morning highs, just at yesterday's highs now, so still 2 up in red 30 in the SPY, just kind of sitting right there. Q's still inside 30, but red, and that simultaneous Q's, tech, semis reversal is still true, although, you know, kind of tricky in there just because it's jumping around a bit more. Tesla made high a day, let's see it. So you got what you wanted on the daily, the 2-2 day, and it's like a penny off of hitting its magnitude, and then what? You got a lot of distance to take that out, right? 386 is probably not happening today. So we can see Qs are still, you know, just holding above yesterday's highs, which is good, but we're inside 30, still inside 60. And there, you know, you can see testing the lows, testing the highs, tiny little triangle in here. So how are we going to get out of this? We're just inside. Looks like Tesla, they did take them out, so you got what you wanted. Nice. Shopify. We go to the Utes off the 2230 on that second 30 of the day. You can see they close higher and then they keep going. Still trying to give you that outside day up there, 44.29. Staples are still good. They're just sitting there, consolidating. While the semis kind of grind, NVIDIA is about to take yesterday's highs, or just took out yesterday's highs. So anyone short yesterday in NVIDIA, they are taken out. NT SPY, they're still holding above yesterday's highs, so they still have that magnitude up there, but they're just kind of like the Qs. Now consolidating, going inside 15. Hughes is inside 15, inside 30, and inside 60. So a little bit more of a struggle there. For now, you still have a lot of inside 60s. What we can see is on the semis, right? They sold, then they came back to sell some more, but they haven't reversed the 60 trend. So you have higher lows, higher highs, and then higher lows, lower highs consolidation. And that's kind of why we're just sitting along here. You have lower highs, lower lows, lower highs trying to form inside the consolidation. So they're still trying to take this stuff out down in here. It's going sideways. So how are we getting out of that? Right now you got Q's double inside 15. Maybe that breaks down, but it's like, how is Q's not going to be inside of this 60-minute here? That's kind of a mess, right? Same with tech, same with semis. So that's kind of why we're just sitting here a little bit quieter here. See, it's been a mess, right? Down, then up, then down, then up, then down, then down, then up, and then right back here. Doing nothing. All right, well, we're coming into the end of these 30s, and you can see they're inside, and the reason, we don't really want to do much when that's the case is just because it's not doing anything. You can see, at least in the morning, right? They go up, then they go 2 down, and then they come back. It's like they're some bigger ranges, so you can actually do something. Inside, this range got a lot tighter, and we're still inside 60. So doji day cues, look at complete doji. All right, buyers bought up, lose. Sellers sold down, lose. Now what? It's like, how are we going to get out of that? We got this inside 60 still cooking. We have this inside 30 that just closed out. So, could this 30 cause the 6 to become a 2? Or do we just go double inside 30 and really chop them up, right? We just want to be careful that we're not, getting chopped like that. Palantir, and yeah, nice little pivot machine gun 5er action. Cool. Hughes is trying to take the 15ers up, so maybe that's able to cause something, but it's inside 30 still, it's inside 60 still, so it's more likely to rev strat. You just want to be aware of that. If you're going to try and trade in there, you got to actually, it's got to work, or else you are to chop them up still. And what we mean by that is if you break, previous high or low and you're during consolidation, so we have this doji day, we have inside 60, double inside 30. You're more likely to break that, fail the breakout, and go outside bar down here because you're stuck inside. Or you're just more likely that breaks and doesn't do anything. So you can see they tried to break it out to the upside, doji day, not doing much yet. Then they come back in. So we go to that 30-minute, still double inside here. 60, still a big old inside bar here. Still not changing anything. That's not to say, maybe it can re-break and do something. It's just stuck. Gotta hold something. Let's see it. So if we go to the Utes, new 30s opened up, and you'll see profit taking. So they took out, good majority of the nearby targets in here. Here and here. Takes them all out, and then some profit takers hit them. Staples, they go 30s back down as well. For now, just a lot of chop. While we wait here, XLE and XOM, let's see. Energies, yeah, so here, inside day goes down and then hammer 60 right there. That's something you look for because that hammer 60-minute is trying to cause rev strat day, which gives you a magnitude to go up here. Slight lower low to go make higher highs at 58.98. So yeah, it's good stuff. XOM, notice it's not taking out the highs of the morning. So anyone short this morning, XOM, they could stay short. Now you have sideways 60 here, these two 30 minutes breaking there, but it's stuck. You want stuff taking out the morning highs, ideally. Or at least something closer to doing that. Oxy, for example, right here. That's trying to go outside day. What about VLO? MPC. Yeah, so MPC 2260 in there. And you can see this big outside day here to the left. You're reclaiming this, potentially reclaim that, go back up to 316. Then PSX right there, the 2260. So you'd say simultaneous break in the energies. And if we go in there, you'll see on the 60s, top of the list, XOP, XLU, XLE. So you can see it's not just one name, it's a lot of names. So you can see DVN, potential ref strat day, back through all these guys. OVV is potential inside day up, back through all these guys. COP is potential outside day up. And Oxy's potential outside day up, so you got all the energies trying to do that for the most part. If you go to XLE, see AM, DK, MPC, PBF, PSX with VLO. VLO's down here. Now, the only thing you want to be aware of is you got 23 minutes on those 60s. So once that new 60 opens, you want to see if they come back to buy more. So if they come back for more, then you're likely to get that outside bar to kick in. You see Qs, they did re-break it, so they're able to get up in here. We're still going to be inside 60, but notice that's starting to get that day nice and green. At least slightly greener than it was before, right? Still going to be double inside 30, still inside 60. So we're still setting up the inside 60 Qs, but we would like that if we could break them out. SPY is still kind of just sitting there. Hughes is a lot closer to breaking those 30s, and that would set up maybe that momentum hammer on the 60-minute. Airbnb on the gappers, you might have that rev strat 30 setting up in there as a 1-2-2. SPY took the 15 up following the cues. Still that 2-2 day above 771.82, looking for 776.85. Hughes did take the 30s 2 up, so the buyer was willing to take the offer. We're still an inside 60. But got 18 minutes if they can get above that. 721.54, where that might become a 2 up on the 60 minute. Confirming the week. Semis go inside 30s up as well. And then TAC is closer to doing that as well. Now, since they're still inside 60, right? We got to be well aware of that. We need to see it go 2-1-2 up 60 on the next flip. And then we can get that Q's daily magnitude starting to kick in potentially. And then MU and SNDK will be inside 60. So if those could firm up, that would definitely help the Qs to do that, just because they're such a big part of it. And then semis will be the inside 60, TAC will be in this inside 60. So we need to see them all do that. Google, let's see. Yeah, so you might have that, and this is a big mother bar 60 on Google, but you can see mother bar issues down and then 322 up. You could come back through these guys. That'd be in 13 minutes. And you have all the magnitude to do it, and then maybe they go up, way further because you have this outside day, because you have this mother bar 60 that you'd be reclaiming here at 355.11. So it's definitely interesting. That'd probably help the Qs out too, right? We've got about 12 minutes until the new 60s open up, and then we can hopefully resolve these equilibriums or these consolidations. Until then, that's kind of just what we're waiting for. As we get closer to the flip, the Qs, you see, are getting up here. So the inside 15, they did re-break and cause the 30, and then the 15 reconfirmed, so they came back to buy some more. Now the question is, how much do they got to buy? Because we have full time frame continuity, the month, the week, the day, the 60 group. And then hopefully 5 minutes, we set up that 60. We don't want them to just blow out. Whoa, sorry about that if that was loud. But we don't want to just blow out those 60s before the flip. We want to go inside. So we want this to stay in here for 5 minutes. If we go to SPY, right, you're going to see momentum hammer. And you had that beautiful little retest of yesterday's highs, but we've been saying it all morning. As long as you're above yesterday's highs, you got magnitude, right? You're going up here, 776.85. And you can see 771.82, right? We had that reclaim in the morning, and then they retested previous day's highs. Still at high day here, so still going. And then IWM would be the next one to break, and the last one that's probably going to break yesterday's highs this morning. So can they do that is the question here. And it does look like Qs might just end up breaking it right before the flip. Gold will be setting up the inside 60 to the flip with silver with the gold miners. No inside bars, so JNUG maybe slightly inside. It's a little more illiquid in JNUG. Energies are still pretty firm right at the highs, XLE and XOP and OIH, so all the energies are ripping. And US oil, if you were with us yesterday, we had that nice 322 day. You'll see they retested it, but they're still holding above that, so trying to go still to 82, 83. And they had that nice little triangle in there on the 60. Pretty. Utilities, we'll see on the 30s, 2, 2, 1. So in 3 minutes, you're going to get that inside 30 to add. Trying to get that outside day in the Utes off the hammer on the second 30 of the day. And you see Qs does take it up by just a penny here on the 60. So SPY and Qs, they bought the first hour, and they came back to buy more the second. And then IWM is still inside. So you might have IWM to the flip. Even if we have one inside bar, even if it's just IWM, that will help out. Because those actionable signals help to cause price movement. And then you'll have tech and semis definitely inside. So even if Qs is 2 up, that's fine. If these go tech, semis, IWM, all inside bar up on the flip, you'll have the weekly signals, the daily reversals, full time frame continuity, and those 60 signals. So you'll have 3 reversals in force in 2 minutes in tech and semis. And that could really help speed stuff up. That's what we're looking for. And then give us, 728.54 on Qs or higher. And give us SPY 776.85 or higher. That's the plan today. Give it to us. Sarah's watching that Google 322, and that's definitely an option. Especially if you get that simultaneous break in tech, semis, Qs. You also have discretionary already ripping. You have, Tesla's definitely helping out there. But communications is already going up, which Google, I believe, is a part of. Meta's already going up. So this should be a good flip here. You'll have momentum hammer SPY. And you could say, maybe a slight momentum hammer on the Qs. All right, away, Q's breaks 2 up. So 2 up, 2 up, 2 up to start the day, all 3 hours. SPY, closer to it. And then Tech and semis. So Tech right away, inside up. It's got to stay above that, 187.73. Then semis, right, looks like equal highs for now. So they do firm them up. All right, Q's, give us 728.54. It's like Tesla is still at the highs, so good stuff on you for playing that. Palantir, they're stuck in the middle, inside 30. You might have that fiber and 15er on the flip to go back in the direction of the day, though. There's Tech kicking in, semis kicking in. We just need SPY to kick in now. And IWM needs to kick in too. See, right on the flip, you got 9 semis breaking all at the same time. ARM, Intel, MPWR, Marvell, MU, right? And this is your big stuff that we wanted to see, TSM, QCOM. So all this stuff firms back up. That's going to help the Qs get going. And you got some robotic stuff, which is already going, like Tesla, right? And then a few of these inside bars up. We can see NVIDIA's almost taking them up now, so almost about all the semis are about to break, right? KLAC just took them up, LRCX just took them up, ON takes them up. While that happens, financials go 60s back down in the direction of the day, reclaiming and setting up the shooter week for next week. So Wells Fargo's taking the 60s back down, so you got some financial weakness. Utilities, they're still firm on the flip. Really Tech semis Qs right away. SPY, there it is. So SPY now confirms. So when we look in here, yeah, pretty much almost every semi name that became a 2. It's like all the space names just became 2s as well. Let's see, Iridium, Lunar, ASTS, Rocket Lab, Momentum. So you got momentum in the space stuff. Now, can it stay that way? Elaine sells into the highs. Okay. Have a great weekend. You as well. I'm probably only going to be on until like 11 today. Let's just take a count. How many 60s do we got? Inside 60s up, we have 140 names breaking. As you can see, all the chips, Intel, MU, IREN, DRAM, Soxel, Oracle, Marvell, APLD, which is your data centers. So a lot of the AI plays are just breaking those inside 60s up. Now, the question is, are these going to be strong enough to take out these guys up here, right? Semis, because if you're short in the morning, you'd have your stops against this stuff. We want to take that out. they're going to do it. And you can see tack, right? They'd have to take this out. So if we take a look at the semis, we did get a lot of breaks, but you can see failed 2 going 3 risk. A lot of those breaks came back besides Cuervo, Marvell, and TSM to start off. So the reason that would matter more on an inside 60 is because we know outside bars exist. We also know rev strats happen. So you can see tack, they initially break up, and we'd prefer to go in that direction. But if it's below that open, that's the counter of the break. So anytime that's red, that could be risk of a 3. We want it to be green. We want it to go up, just because we have more continuity in the upward direction. Utilities are still firm. Q's still firm. SPY's still firm. You see XLK right now, they are red, so this is at risk of becoming a 3. It's potential 3. Still, right in the middle of the daily range, which is not what we want, not what we're looking for, because, you know, this 3 here, this would be, the magnitude of this, and we would still be in that first hour of the day. So the question is that going to happen? Because they're now 2 going 3, and they're at risk of that happening. And if that does happen, is that weak enough to even take these guys out, or are we going to still be in the middle of this? I'd much prefer to go in the direction of full time frame continuity, right? On the Qs, on the SPY. But right now on the 60, there's profit taking going on. In about a minute, they close out some inside fivers that might be able to get stuff moving in the Tekken semis. If they can go inside bars up on the flip of the new fivers. Spine Qs are inside as well, right under the morning highs here. Jim Marvell still crawling their way back. Intel crawling their way back. So when you look at all those semis, see, these are the ones that are still in force. Marvell, MU, Intel, TSM. So there is still a buyer in there. They're just stock picking. They're buying some Intel, buying some Marvell, buying some TSM, buying some GFS into high day. And the rest, they bought a little bit, but it's not everyone going. At least not at the current moment. XOP, you can see, is still confirming. So those energy simultaneous 60s from the previous 60s. XLE is still confirming as well, although you have about half of them inside. So VLO, MPC, PSX, all that stuff still twos up. Qs goes fibers back up. You can see Tech goes fibers back up, and actually semis, there's continuation. I didn't set up those inside bars, but they are confirming those 60s, or at least attempting to. All right, well, as we're coming to the end of the 60s, you can see SPY and Qs didn't stay up there for now. Now, what we will see is energies are still following through, trying to go outside day. XOP, you can see still following through, trying to go outside day as a rep strat. Looks like XOM, CVX, following suit with MPC, VLO. So they're still going after energies. We go to utilities. Utilities off the 2230 and the inside 30 ad, they're still at high a day. And staples are also still firm, so still slightly more defensive posturing. If we go to TAC, you see they tried to tick up. They did not take this out, and we're still now stuck right in the middle of the morning range. So they're going to be closer to 2260 in about 5 minutes. With the Qs, CB would be closer to the 2260. With semis, closer to the 2260 as a rev strat. And the day is still 2 up in red, so it'd be the 60 and daily group overriding the week and month group. So as we come into the end of the 60, they're closer to reversing again. If we go to MU, it's still inside day. It would be closer to the rev strat 60. If we go to SNDK, you can see when you're taking out the morning highs, closer to the rev strat 60. And then you might have Google inside 60 into full time frame continuity down. So that would be worth noting as well. All right, mind the flip. Let's see, SPY, what, 3-2 down on the 60. So you got a 3 in there. That's a broadening formation. Hughes goes 2260 reversal and is right at yesterday's high, so it's reclaiming yesterday's range. Dow would be continuing, and IWM goes 2260 reversal. Tech and semis, Tech goes Rev Strat pivot machine gun style. 2-2 on the flip with semis, Rev Strat, potentially that PMG as well. Still inside of the morning range, but that might be able to get him out. Energies are still firm. XOP still firm. OIH is reversing. Utilities are still at high of day, but you are at short-term exhaustion risk. We'd like to see them keep going. If they're gonna, especially if they're gonna sell the tech, we'd like to see it rotate, or else you'll have, probably bigger issues on those indexes. Google is pretty close to taking 60s down in the direction of the daily signal, and the 2's going 3 on the month and week. You can see SPY, right? It's a 3, and then it goes 2, but then it comes back into the 3. You want to be aware of that because a 3 is a broadening formation, so you'll see it on a smaller time frame basis. The high, the low, or the low, the high, and then slight lower lows down in here. We're still holding that daily open, albeit just a little bit, so if that were to kick back into the 3 and be confirming that day, the week, and month. However, we are, pretty tight still. So is Tech and Semis going to be able to get out of this? You can see it goes Rev Strat down, and we're still inside of this mother bar. So it ticks down, but then it comes back in. So there's still 3 hours now at this point stuck inside of here. How are we getting out of that? That's still an issue for us. And the reason those mother bars become an issue is because when you're stuck inside of the previous range, you can see what price does is it gets really tight and it consolidates back and forth, and then it will break. Then it'll consolidate, and then it breaks, and then it consolidates and it breaks. Because this is a much bigger consolidation. It's 3 hours inside. So until we can take high a day out or low a day out, what's happening is anyone short in the morning, they have their stops against this stuff, they don't have to get out. Anyone long against these lows down in here, they don't have to get out until we take them out. So we're still, you can see, pretty much dead in the middle if we were to measure it out. Oops. We put a 50% in there. You see, we're dead in the middle of this, and we're just nowhere near causing anyone to do anything. So we'll see if they're able to do it. If you look at Google, there's still double inside 60, so no breaks there. You'll see SPY form that hammer fiver off the lower low on the little broadening formation. Hughes also goes hammer fiver, so they firm up with the SPY. Three 360 isn't something I want to mess with. I know, right? Oh, sorry, I was on mute there. But it says broadening Fridays, huh? Well, unless if we have this day in force, we still have the rest of the day to try and take this stuff out. 77685. But we would need to see us go reversal down in here, right? Like this 5 minute, and go and take out high a day. So that way we'd have that daily in force and we could take this out. And you have that slight lower low. Then we go on the 60 minute, you got 2 down, but going 3. If we're not able to take high a day out, then, it's starting to get much tighter in here. And so far, you can see, on Thursday, they tried to go 2 down. Obviously, the sellers were not aggressive enough to do that. And then they go 2 up today. If the buyers are aggressive still, we'd want to take this out. If they're too weak to take that out, then these 2 days get stuck inside of these 2 days. And we're starting to kind of start it over. But SPX, the hammer fiver did kick in, so we go 2, and then they reclaim the 3, so it has a magnitude 776315 in the direction of that daily signal. Q's is doing similar. Tech and Semi is doing similar, and this is all due to that 3-hour inside bar to this. They try the highs, didn't go anywhere. Try the lows, didn't go anywhere. It's a little closer to going 3, which might be able to make something happen, but it doesn't look like we're gonna have much help from the tech for now. Energies, they're still good on those 60s. Utilities are also still good. Not an outside day yet, so we still have this to take out. And you can see on the Utes that hammer 30 execution breaks and just goes right away and doesn't come back. This is what we like because you don't have to do anything. 975%. Wow, did you nail it at low a day? You must have. Well, at this point, there's not too much to talk about. We've been quite pretty quiet. There was some decent movement outside of the indexes, just kind of in some of those leadership names that we see this month. But for now, you can see SPY's pretty much still coming back to a doji day, and Q's still sitting about a doji day. So how are we going to not be that? That is the question. And since we're coming into the end of the week, maybe towards the final hours of the day, you could take out either the high day or low day and look to target that. But right now, Q's, right? It's like they're closer to taking out the highs, and we prefer that because we have that continuity to really kick in for us. But we have to do it, right? So if we don't take out the highs, don't take out the lows, then we're doing nothing. And for now, SPY, same deal. They did move a little bit off that fiver. See, they hammered up and they did rip them up in here. Now they go 3-1, so they're still trying to make some higher lows. Maybe they can climb back through. But I am going to be heading out today, so peace out, everybody, and we'll see you guys in the weekend vid. Adios, and have a good rest of your weekend.